This video will explain how you can increase the value of your new or remodeled house by hiring the right architect.
Hi, I'm Daniel of Clarke Architect. Consider this a lesson on how not to leave $500,000 on the table. Suppose you went to a draftsperson or a house designer, paid them $50,000 for a set of plans for your house. They've listened to your requirements, have incorporated all of your requests into the house plans, gave you everything that you've asked for. It's a nice enough house design, pretty tame, nothing too outrageous. Big windows out to the ocean, big garage, a nice second floor balcony that looks over a spacious main floor living area. It ticks all the boxes on your checklist, but there's a thought that's nagging at the corner of your mind. It should be what you were hoping for, right? Now let's say that you came and asked for my opinion. Well, my first answer to you is, how does it feel to you? That's the most important thing here. What works great for one person doesn't work great for another person. So how do you feel about it? The truth is, you're not quite sure. So what do I think? Well, if I have to be honest, it looks not much different from a lot of the other houses that commodity builders might make. It's just a little bigger. Okay, what would I do to make it more interesting, make it better? Well, why are you asking me? Why not ask your family or friends? The reason why you're not asking them is they don't have the 25 years of experience, training, education, and countless hours of solution finding that made me the architect I am now. So consider this. How much did you pay for that waterfront property? Prime real estate, maybe $2 million at least. How much do you think it'll cost to build a house based on those plans? I figure maybe $2 million from what I see. Imagine that the contractor takes the plans, builds the house exactly as it's drawn. Imagine you're walking into your house, you have the keys, you live in it for a couple of weeks. How satisfied are you? Well, it's ticked all the mental boxes, but maybe there's some extra things that you wished you had asked the designer for. Maybe there's a bit too much glare in the front room. Maybe it's a little too dark in the back room. Perhaps you're considering changing the siding around the front so it's a little more interesting, more inviting for visitors. From 0% not at all satisfied to 100% completely and totally satisfied. How satisfied are you with this house that you've done? Maybe 95%? 95% is a really good number, really good percentage here. But that also means that you're 5% dissatisfied. Now, if you've spent $2 million building the house, 5% is $100,000. So that house is worth to you $1.9 million. That's after paying $50,000 in fees to the house designer. Really, you should be blown away. That house should have a wow factor for you and for anyone else coming to visit. So let's put these house plans off to the side. Let's imagine that there's another house that's been designed, the perfect house. It's got everything you wanted, but it's also the totally tailored house just for you. You walk into that house, you're amazed as you walk through the front door. Inside the foyer, you're stunned at every corner. It's a wow, I didn't realize it would feel this wonderful. You're overjoyed with how well it works. It feels spacious, but you never have to walk too far. The small additional storage spaces tucked here and there are just where you need them. Let's say you wake up in the morning and you look out at the window. You're standing there barefoot in pajamas. You see the snow, the ice outside. You can see the cold, but you feel just as warm and comfortable as you were when you were in bed. You walk downstairs to the kitchen. You feel like emailing the designer. Oh, the natural light that floods into the kitchen. Now you've invited some friends over for a housewarming party. You're chatting away. There's quite a few people indoors, but you can still hear each other because the acoustics are terrific. Later on in the season, you're coming home from work one day and you never realized how wonderful your house looks as the sunlight catches all the edges. Every day it feels like you're coming home to a villa at a resort. All of this extra goodness didn't come at an extra construction cost. Clever design set up things so that it was only as expensive to build as your typical house. Thing is, with typical house, there's a lot of redundant construction built in. I have another article about that you can read, but this still costs only $2 million. So compared to 100% being completely satisfied to this new state of amazement, what would you peg it at? 120%? 150%? Let's say 130%. So 130% satisfied with your $2 million investment means it's worth $2.6 million to you. Now, we're not talking about selling it to anybody. We're talking about how it makes you feel, how much better it makes your life at home. So you've gained an extra $600,000 because you hired the right architect. The architect charged you $200,000 though, and got you a 130% return on the design. By comparison, the house designer got you 95% return. So the difference in value to you of that house when it was finished is 5% plus 30% works out to $700,000 more, the return on that extra investment. That's several times the extra amount that you paid for the architect. Now, don't get me wrong. I know some great home designers and home builders. They do stunning work. I also know architects who do work that is not quite so stunning. But generally speaking, the less you pay, the less you get. Conversely, if you don't need so much, then you don't have to pay as much. Usually people try to save the money up front because it's a known cost. But at the end of the project, the outcome is a far greater loss. Put away the discussion of money just for a moment. This is your home. This is the place where you'll be eating, sleeping, living, entertaining for basically every day for presumably decades to come. And a little side note here, typical house construction generally tends to fall apart a little bit at a time, 20, 30 years down the road. An ultra high performance house, on the other hand, built with sophisticated construction techniques, will be in great shape even when your kids take over way down the road. Now, which would you prefer? Spending the rest of your life in that 95% house, wondering how you could renovate to get back that 5%, or living in the 130% house, marveling at how wonderful it makes you feel. So let's walk back to where I said hired the right architect. Not all architects are created equal. Not all architects design houses. Most importantly though, not every architect gets you. That's the key to great communication. You need to be able to feel confident and comfortable opening up, sharing your needs, your wants, more importantly, your motivation to your architect. In a future video, I'm going to cover exactly how you go about finding the right architect for your project. One of the hallmarks of the right architect for you is someone who's going to take the time to really understand you before getting into the particulars of the house. I have another video that discusses the 4 key things that an architect needs to do before drawing anything. If you're planning to build a new house or significantly renovate your existing one in the near future and you'd like to discuss your needs for your next house, feel free to book a free diagnostic session with me on my website.